Do a little study here on the Locust Army. And if you notice just here by this little icon, it has a crown of gold. That doesn't refer to the devil, that refers to the bride of Christ, the saints. They're the ones that have the crowns of gold. You should remember from the 24 elders throwing it at the throne of God. The Locust Army, stated many times in the Bible, are instruments of God's wrath. That's what the locusts are. And the locusts represent the winnowing, which is the harvest, which is to separate. It's also the judgment. It's also cleansing. There's 4 different types of locusts, and it's very detailed. Some of the varieties of locust, guess what, are only here in the United States, East Coast in particular. There are 3 harvests, 3 days of darkness, 3 stages of the butterfly. So let's get into this locust army. Locust army, blow the trumpet in Zion, which is a blast. We'll get into that word blast later. And the locust army, the Bible speaks of a powerful group of people that are to appear on the scene in the latter days, primarily for the latter day reigning, and which is the harvest, the winnowing, the trident, the north wind. And here is the bride. Awake, north wind, come, south wind, blow on my garden. It's the bride's garden. Let its spices glow from it. Let my beloved come to his garden. That his is Jesus Christ's garden. And let him eat his own precious fruit. You see how that all ties in with the bride, the fruit, the harvest? Who do you think the harvesters are? The locust army. And he says the angel to the comes down, falls from heaven, and everybody goes, oh, it's got to be a fallen angel. Nope, it's Jesus. Jesus opens up the seals. Jesus is the one, the living one, now and forever, and he holds the keys of death and Hades. Nobody else. And then from the skies, the figs shaken by a strong wind. Guess that would be us. The stars, more than one. Locusts are referred to as horses, crowns of gold, that's us. Faces like human beings, that's us. And the stingers, that's what judgments, that's what speaking the truth is. And the king over the angel of the abyss. Who's the king of kings? Jesus Christ, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon. Abba is Father, Don is Lord. Father, Lord, Father of judgment, Father of destruction. Judgment and destruction. Apollyon, Sun God, Son of righteousness. Look up at Malachi 4:2, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that refer to the Son, S-O-N, as S-U-N. Locusts also mean woe. And trumpet blast also means fallout and fire and judgment. But also the harvest is reward, the rapture, the escape. Jesus descend into hell 3 days later after the 3 days of darkness. Abraham's bosom, paradise, he goes down there first. We make a quick pit stop in hell to set the captives free since Jesus was crucified. And then here we go. He also gave their crops to the caterpillar and their labor to the locust. And they all worked for the locust. He gave up their fruits to the blast. The blast means fire, judgment, trumpet blast. The fruits, remember, the evildoers, the hands of iniquity and all their works of the flesh, they give them up to the fire. And the labors, yes, it means works to the locust. They work for the locust, but it also means worship, which is a mistranslation and just trying to get your attention. It means homage, respect, acknowledge. And then We were talking about blast. Yes, it can mean a demon. God created both, good and evil. Isaiah 45:7. Angel, Christ Spirit, Holy Spirit, trumpet blast, breath, breeze, devouring wind, north wind, trident. And also we have the east wind that brings it brought the 7 years of famine in Egypt with Joseph. And the east wind by Moses to bring the locusts that plagued Egypt. Doesn't sound like anything the devil can do. And to part the Red Sea. Who parted the Red Sea? Jesus. Well, the Father and the Son are one. Who hardened the heart of the Pharaoh? Jesus. Guess who was best friends? Moses and the Pharaoh. They were best friends. East wind is with destruction. Often this wind of destruction is of the wicked by God. By God. It says right here, He let loose upon them the fierceness of His anger, His wrath, and His indignation and distress by sending a mission of angels of calamity and woe. There's your woe among them. But here it says evil, band of evil. Mistranslation. And it's the burning wind, the east wind, not to fan, not to cleanse, but it was from judgment. A full wind from these places shall come to me, and now I will speak my judgments with them. Remember, Jesus opens the seals, and the Father sends Jesus. So see how it all works? And here's all the different kinds of locusts, and their branches made white, which is cleansing. And I'll show the locusts a little later. And it says, for they and all their flocks came with their tents and like locusts. I'm trying to show locusts are us, people, filled with all places, innumerable multitude of men and camels. And camels is beasts of burden, and it's also food. See, and it says scattered, innumerable as the sand that lieth on the seashore. Remember Abraham? More sand than could be counted. Moses stretched his staff over Egypt. East wind blew across all the land, all day and all night. And by morning, morning star, sun, the wind had brought the locusts. Darkest before dawn. And see, we're talking about He. Not an evil angel. God, you'd say Jesus, the Spirit. Eat up the herbs in the ground, fruit of the ground. That's the locust. It's God created good and evil. And in this case, this is all good. The silver and the gold. When they departed Egypt, He spread a cloud for covering, fire at night, and a cloud during the day. And this is all referring to God's will and God's judgment. A kind of locust, disappearance, insignificance, activity. To be or grow great, to enlarge, to make many, to multiply. Great multitude, sounds like the rapture to me. To make much of, transgress, increase, shoot arrows. Talking about locusts. Here's the palmer worm, the different types of worm. There's 4 groups of locusts. The cankerworm and the palmer worm are only in the United States. And this is it's talking about the locust in part of the harvest. And see, here's the 4 different types. The precise meaning of the 4 Hebrew words used here for locust is uncertain, and you research what all the different locusts are and that they mean, and they have different purposes. And out of the smoke, there's the black and the stuff. The locusts, they come down on the earth and were given power like that of scorpions, and that's to do all the different judgments and to convict people and all that. Said to Moses, locust swarms over the land, devour everything growing in the fields, everything left by the hail. And then invaded Egypt, and it was black. I already went through that. Here's the inchworms, which measure the earth, measure the outer court, remember, for the Gentiles in the book of Revelation. Then you've got the grasshopper and the locust are the same thing, except when they transform, metamorphosize, receive the Holy Spirit, and that's all your different. It's just wonderful. The bald locust is the bold locust. Go boldly into the throne room. And then you got, this is really good for all the different things of the locust: to hide, to cover, to cut off, to lick, which is to lick up like the fire, to devour, all kind of stuff. And does the judgment. The locusts have new king. We'll get into that. And then we go into the biblical usage. This is the Greek word 200. Numberless swarms in the spring, just like last spring, which was early March, which was before spring. They had all the locusts in go from Arabia into Palestine, all over the place. And look at this word, very important. John ate the locust and wild honey. You are what you eat. The meat, nobody's on milk anymore. Locusts, wild honey, the Holy Spirit. And then in another chapter, Matthew and Mark, and both in Revelation, doesn't that tell you? Witnesses. Witnesses and crowns of gold. See how the locust and the wild honey, you are what you eat. So wonderful. I got to speed this up. The locusts have no king. And then in the ranks and the bands, divisions, no king, because we rule and reign with Jesus Christ. We are kings unto ourselves. And besides, who's the King of Kings? Jesus Christ. See that the word there, kings, to become king or queen, to reign. There's Nephil, which means cloud, raise up, nuclear fallout, and which is also a type of locust. To divide, there's your troop, to divide, shoot arrows, separate. The wheat from the chaff, the cankerworm, United States, California. That's the cankerworm, United States. Multitude, greatness, locust. There's the pit, out of the bottomless pit, locust. Farmer, garden. Palmer worm, North America, Eastern North America, East Coast. Gazam, devouring. Head of the family, returned from exile, and that's another name for a locust. So we're talking people here. We're not talking about aliens or anything else. Here's that other word, it's also for a locust. Appointed ones, risen up. Now my computer decides to go slow just when I want to go fast. Cover the thing. I already did that one. There's the Nephil, cloud, covering, fallout, rise up. And then we've got belonging to the cornerstone. This is the locust. Part of Jesus, circumcised, uncircumcised. That's the outer banks. Can be the Gentiles. Also, come out of your secret chamber, your closet, your storehouse for the latter rain. Paradise, bed chambers. That's the rapture of the bride. It's just, and that was out of Oriental for the Oriental locust. Everything is just so perfect. And I'm about out of time. I need to keep this under 15 minutes so I don't have to break it up. You can see the locusts, does the judgment. It's just all perfect. Look up, our salvation is near. Receive the Holy Spirit that the Father gave Jesus Christ to leave when he left at Pentecost. We are the locust army, the bride, the saints. Thanks for your time.